Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Megan, and today's video we are talking about my past life regression. So a few years ago, I found out about past lives and that you could get hypnotized to find out what kind of life you lived. And that was always interesting to me. I got really into Dolores Cannon and all of her videos on YouTube, and I even got one of her books, and she is a specialist in hypnotizing people, and she discovered this technique of how to transport people into their past lives to see what kind of person they were and what kind of life they lived. And I just thought it just blew my mind. It was really interesting. I was watching all of these different YouTube channels that would film people while they were getting hypnotized in these past lives. I actually have my experience filmed. I might share it with you guys one day, but I feel like it's more interesting for me to just talk about it. Okay, so if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Megan. I'm the mother of tarot. I do a lot of tarot pick-a card readings. All my content is spiritually related. I want to give you guys some confidence, clarity on your path, and any messages that just channel through me are what I'm here for. So if you feel called, make sure you subscribe to join the tribe, and let's get right into it. Okay, so this type of technique, this is called QHHT. And this is the technique that Dolores Cannon teaches. She's not around anymore. She died a few years ago, but she has a lot of people that trained under her and went through her teaching program. And that's the kind of hypnosis technique I wanted. Now there's different kinds of hypnosis therapies that can bring you into your past life, but I'm talking about QHHT. This was the technique that I wanted to experience. So I went on her website and I found all these amazing practitioners. And I was in Los Angeles, so I was lucky at the time because there was so many options to choose from being in that area. And I found this guy, and he was the first one to respond. And he was a level 4 practitioner. So there's different levels and tiers, you know, once you work your way through the program. And so I was like, level 4, more advanced, let's do it. It was pretty pricey. I think I spent, I can't remember now, it was like $300 or $400 for the session, which lasted about 2 to 3 hours. But I was ready. I felt called to do it. I wanted to have this experience, so I thought that I should invest the money. So when I get there, the session first starts off with your practitioner just talking to you, asking you questions about your experience through life, what you want to get out of the session, just kind of opening up about your life. It's almost like a therapy session, which was really nice. It helps you get to know the person so you're more comfortable. And then once the hypnotherapist starts the session, once you get into the session, they completely relax you and they would do some different types of exercises to open up your mind. So as we were doing that, I felt so relaxed and so calm, and I just felt amazing. And so, you know, after we did the exercises, he's like, okay, we're going to start. I'm going to, you know, and they have this certain method that they use to get you to go into your past life. And while he was doing this, I felt the most relaxed I have ever felt in my entire life. Like, I knew I was still awake, but I felt like I was floating. It was such an amazing experience. I was like thinking I was going to feel like this the whole time. I was so excited. I'm like, oh, this is the best thing ever. I feel amazing. And once, you know, he gets you, my practitioner, and I'll attach who I went to in the description box if you're interested. He lives in LA. So, and all these sessions have to be done in person, but I'll also attach her website because you can find a practitioner that's close to you. So anyways, as he started to regress me into my past life, it's very hard to see. Like, I didn't realize how hard it was going to be able to see what happened, because really we're not supposed to be accessing, right, these parts of ourselves. We're supposed to really just stay in this reality in this lifetime. And so it's tricky. It's not easy. And so he asked a lot of questions, like, what do you see? He asked a lot of questions about the details around you. And I just knew I was at a lake. I was at a lake. It was really beautiful, and it was in the countryside. And he had me look down at my feet, and I giggled. And he's like, what do you see? And I was like, man's feet, like really big feet. And I was like, I'm a man. And I was kind of laughing because I'm like, this is weird, you know? And he asked me, like, what clothes are you wearing, and, you know, what's your hair color, and all this stuff. And I couldn't tell exactly what I looked like, but I knew I was in good shape. I described myself as like a Michael Phelps kind of dude, like really awkward and tall and really like lanky, but like strong. So after that experience, he was like, okay, now I want you to go to your home where you live. And all of a sudden I see this house, and it's in the country still. I don't know where I was. It didn't feel like the States. It felt like somewhere else, like Ireland or something like that, but I don't know for sure where I was. But I walk in, he has me walk into my house, and he has me describe the house, and it was a very older looking house, but not too old. Like, it felt like this lifetime was just before this one, is how I would describe it. Like, it looked like an older house, but not like 18th century, something like that, right? I remember there being like a really old, like, oven or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, so I'm in this life, and it was kind of hard to see everything. But he asked me, he's like, who else lives at this house with you? Who else lives there? And all of a sudden I see this woman, and she's so beautiful, like so beautiful, and she's so happy to see me. Like, her whole face lights up, and she gives me this hug, and I can remember what she looks like still to this day. And she just had shorter hair, and it was like a dark brown, and she was just gorgeous. And she was my girlfriend, and I was like, yeah, like I knew I was in love with her. It was really a weird feeling, right? So after that, we kind of go more into the house and what I do for work, and I was some sort of carpenter, I like made tables or something, like furniture. I'm not really sure, but I did it from my house. So, and then all of a sudden, he's asking these questions, and then I just get really sad. And I start crying. And, the practitioner, the hypnotherapist, was like, what's wrong? Are you okay? And I was like, she's dying. And he's like, oh no, I'm so sorry. And I couldn't stop crying. It was so weird to be so sad about somebody that was dying that I didn't know in this lifetime, but I felt like such a strong connection to. And in my life, I've been fortunate enough to never experience a close death, right? I've had some grandparents die, I've had some dogs die that I was really attached to, but I've never had, a sibling or a close friend or a parent or a significant other die. So I've never experienced that in this lifetime of being, I've been blessed to not have to experience that. So I don't know what that feels like. I can't say that I know what it feels like to have someone close to me, really close to me, die unexpectedly or too soon. And while I was being hypnotized and I was in this state, and while I'm in this state, I want you to know that I was very conscious. I could feel the bed I was in. You're very aware. It's not like one of those, times you get hypnotized and you don't remember anything, and then you wake up and you're like, what happened? It very rarely happens with this type of technique. That's why they do film you. Also, they film you so you can look back at it and pick up pieces that you might have missed. But it wasn't like that. Like, I was very aware of what was going on. And so I just start bawling, and I don't know what she was sick with. I don't know if it was cancer, but it was something that they couldn't do anything about. And I remember telling him that, like, she's sick and she doesn't have much time left. And I was bawling, and I was crying, and it was such a weird experience. It was such a weird cry because I was crying because somebody was dying that I loved. But I don't even know them. But I did know them. Like, I felt this strong attachment to this woman. And so I was getting upset at myself during this session because I was like, Megan, pull it together. We need to, sometimes, from what I've heard, other people that get these hypnotherapist sessions, these past life regressions, get to experience 3 lifetimes, sometimes more. And I wanted to see what happened in my other lifetimes. I don't want to sit here and just cry and, I want to experience. I want to wander around. So I was resisting it. And so after I finally calmed myself down, I could tell that after that week, we got married before she died. but she died very shortly after we married. And we were young, we were in our 20s when this happened. And then it was hard for me to tell the rest of my life. I know I never found anybody again. I lived in a lot of solitude, and then I died at an old age of just being old. I also traveled. I think I traveled to the States, actually. But, yeah, at this point, after I was crying and experiencing those intense pains and emotions, my body was becoming very weak. It was very hard for me to see what was happening. And I developed this really prominent headache, and I was really uncomfortable. At the beginning of my session, I was so light and free and felt amazing. And then by this time, I just wanted to get out. I didn't want to be in this state anymore. It was just really uncomfortable. It was painful. And so after that, that life to get through took so long. It sounds like I talked about it, super fast, like this happened, this happened, this happened. But there was a lot of pauses and a lot of breaks because it was hard to see. It was hard to see what he was asking, the questions, that he was guiding me through. It took a long time to get through that life. And by the time we got through it, it was like you can only be under that kind of state in that hypnosis for about an hour and a half. They say that's the longest you should be in that state. I'm not sure exactly why. I think it's just too hard on the body if you do it any longer than that. So he pulled me out of it. And then I slowly came back in, and then we talked, afterwards about the session. And I left not really upset, but kind of confused because I thought, what the hell was the point of that? I mean, it was interesting to see what life I lived, but why? I mean, I was just upset and crying the whole time. Like, I just had to mourn a death. Like, I paid $400 to mourn a death of a loved one. Like, what? And, but it was still a magical experience. It was still beautiful in its own way. And I wasn't regretting that I did it. I just didn't know why. And as months went by, I kind of started to accept that one day I'll figure it out. One day I'll figure out what the point of that was. It'll make sense. And I remember talking to this beautiful soul I met in Costa Rica. She does past life regression. And I didn't talk to her a lot at the retreat that I was at in Costa Rica when I did ayahuasca. I didn't talk to her a lot, but I ended up meeting up with her in London earlier this year, right before the pandemic. I was meeting my boyfriend out there, and she was going to be in town, and he knew her as well from the retreat, because that's where we had met. So anyways, we came together, and we were talking about it. She was talking about all the regression studies she's done, and it was so interesting to me. And I told her, I said, I still don't know what my session was about, because this was a couple years later, or a year and a half later, and I was like, I still don't know what mine was about, but I think I'll figure it out one day. And she's like, yes, you will. Some people, it takes a long time for them to realize what their session was for and why they experienced that. And what I've come to conclude about all of this is that, like I said earlier, in this lifetime that I'm in, right, in my reality, I haven't experienced a close death, but I've experienced a lot of other pain. I've experienced a lot of health issues, so a lot of physical pain. I've experienced depression and anxiety. I've experienced financial issues. I've experienced a lot of darker energies, and a big purpose of why I'm here in this life is to help people. That's what I do now. I help people. I'm a tarot reader, but I'm also a therapist. I'm a life coach. I help people, and I feel like it was necessary for me to experience that, because to know what that pain was like. So it just helped bring even more compassion into my life to help more people that have gone through experiences like that of losing somebody. I know what that feels like now. And I feel like that sounds crazy to say that, having experienced that in my past life, but my whole purpose of my past life, regression hypnosis, was to experience the pain of losing somebody. And that's what I was resisting the whole time I was in session. The other lesson that I learned was, I've had this fear since I was young of losing someone close to me. And it makes sense now where it stems from. But I feel like after I got that session, after reflecting on it, months later, years later, I feel like it was to tell me that if that's not what I'm here to experience in this lifetime, I experienced that in my last lifetime, and I'm not here to experience that type of pain, that of losing somebody. And that was really a beautiful message to receive. Like, I'm not going to go through that pain again on that level. That's not the kind of pain that I'm experiencing this lifetime, right? This lifetime, it's more to do with my physical body and my physical health and my mental health more than anything, along with some other things as well. But those are the prominent energies that I've learned from and that I've grown from. And that's what I got out of it, is that, you know, I got to see how painful that is. How painful. I can still kind of feel how painful that was. I'm not sad about it because it's not something in this lifetime, but I know what that feels like. And I know now that I have this just knowing, right? This intuitive feeling that I'm not going to experience that kind of loss again. You know, I have a boyfriend now, and I'm really happy with him, and I just feel really strongly that we're going to grow old together, and it's a really beautiful feeling. It makes me really happy. It almost makes me want to cry. Sorry. But and I'm so glad now that I got that hypnosis session. It took years to figure out what it was really about and what the meaning was, right? And how it's helped me, but it's been a huge part of my healing journey, my spiritual journey, and I'm really grateful for it. So if you guys feel called to do it, go for it. It's crazy. I never even would have thought this was possible years ago, to like go into your past life. I mean, I wasn't even a full believer in past lives. Even when I got the session done, I was like, well, maybe we had past lives, but I don't really know. It still amazes me. But if you're interested in it, look up Dolores Cannon. I love her videos. If you don't want to like commit to her books or anything, she is like this little old lady, you know, sitting in the chair, like doing her lectures, and she looks like she's about to teach you how to bake an apple pie, but she starts talking about, you know, other dimensions and past lives and alien encounters, because some people, when she's regressed them into past lives, they were on different planets and they were other beings. So it's really interesting stuff if you're into it. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was my QHHT regression hypnosis experience. It was awesome. And it's really helped me on my journey. So thanks for checking out my channel, and leave a comment down below if you thought this was helpful, if you have any more questions, or if you have any more ideas, topics you guys want me to talk about. I am very open to it. Love you guys, and thanks. I'll see you next time.